Hey guys, I thought I'd just quickly make this video covering the Q&A that was just released last night for the RSI Zeus Mk. They released one Q&A that piled all three variants together. I would have liked if they did separate ones because there's quite a lot of questions around each of the variants, but anyway, that's fine for now. I'm sure Spectrum will speculate endlessly about all these different topics, but anyway, I'm probably a little bit late to this discussion on the Q&A. And the reason is I stay in South Africa, so the time zones are a little bit different here. It actually only released the Q&A last night around 10 o'clock, and that was way too late to get this video out, so I'm covering it a little bit late today. One of the first questions that they answered was, the RSI Zeus Mk is smaller than the Spirit, but its cargo variant holds more than twice the cargo of the C1, more than the Mercury. Why would someone choose the C1 Spirit over the Zeus Mk? To this, CIG pointed out that the ES, or the exploration variant of the Zeus, has one extra shield. And there's also some changes coming to components to support the resource network that they demonstrated at CitizenCon. So there will be changes coming to multiple ships, pretty big changes, and a rebalance as well. So numerous older ships will have their numbers rebalanced. They also pointed out that during production, they managed to get the SEU size of the Spirit a little bit higher, from 48 to 64. And also the added advantage of having better maneuverability and higher top speed. The next question that was asked is, what is the range of the QED, and is it a snare or a dampener? CIG then clarified, and they said that it is only a quantum dampener and not a quantum enforcement device or a QED. The QEDs combine the snare and the dampener, and that the range would also be similar to the Drake Cutlass Blue. Are the EMP and quantum dampener pilot controlled? I really like their answer on this one. They said that the EMP and quantum dampener would be able to be controlled by any seat, or that's at least what they're aiming for. If they can't get it to work like that, then it will be restricted to a certain seat. And on the MR security variant, the gunner and the co-pilot will both have control of one of the remote turrets. The next question was about quantum jump points. Is the Zeus Mk CL able to travel through small jump points, making it the current largest cargo ship to do so? CIG said likely yes, though there are lots of changes coming regarding jump points and their size/restrictions, as the design has evolved significantly since it was first discussed. Expect more info on this as we get closer to Alpha 4.0. This next question was actually super interesting because I honestly didn't know this, but it is, why do prisoner boxes need extra space? Is it possible to place them on a normal cargo grid? CIG then expanded on this, and they actually said that prisoner pods can be stored on normal cargo grids, but they take up more space and it's less efficient, and you can't stack things on top of them. So I imagine if you do want to store your prisoner pods, it would be most efficient to stack them all the way on top of your cargo, because then you wouldn't be able to block anything above the prisoner pod. So that was quite interesting. I honestly didn't know that. The next question was actually probably the highlight of the whole Q&A to me, and it's, are there any escape pods? CIG then said that the beds are actually designed to be escape pods. So the beds in the middle of the ship will actually eject downwards out. I don't know how advanced these beds will be, but I imagine they'll keep you alive for enough time until a buddy shows up to save you. I mean, that's probably one of the coolest things that I've heard come out of a ship. I actually don't know of any other ships that do this. I'm sure there are, but this is the first I've heard of it, and it's also the first ship that I'm owning that can do this. I don't know how practical it is, because you would have to, I imagine, run to your bed and jump in it to be able to eject. So I don't know. That's interesting. The next question was about the room opposite the armory in the MR. The person said it looks empty, and they asked what was the function. CIG responded and said the room was meant for armor and suit lockers and also storage, but the angle on the interior shot on the website just couldn't show it well enough. Next up was a question about the speed of the Zeus, and they actually didn't have an answer for this because the ship is still in active production. I kind of wish they wouldn't waste one of their answers on answering a question that they don't actually have an answer for. But they did clarify and say that it would be lower than the Spirit C1. I imagine this is just to protect the sails of the C1, but yeah. Here was another interesting point. The question was, as the Explorer variant will have more shields, will the Bounty Hunter variant have significantly heavier armor to compensate? CIG then said, that is the goal, yes. Trading shield power for armor to allow the MR to weather the target's fire. This was an interesting point because I remember in the Master Modes discussion, if I have this correct, that once you enter navigation mode and you enable your quantum, you lose access to shields. Now this is interesting because in the Explorer variant, you would more than likely always be in navigation mode because you're no longer going to engage with enemy targets because you'd probably be transporting some cargo or something like that. So the advantage of having the extra shield wouldn't be such a massive advantage really, because you'd never be able to use it because you're constantly going to be in navigation mode. Now I might have this wrong, but this is how I understand it. So I don't really know if having 4 shields on the Explorer variants is really that much of an advantage, because it's not like you're going to be doing bounty hunting missions in the Explorer variant. You would pick the MR for that. Although some people would probably use the ES for multi-role type gameplay, and then they could use it for combat. So it could be useful in that case, but yeah. The next question was whether the Zeus has fuel recovery. And CIG then responded and said, yes, all Zeus variants have fuel intakes capable of generating hydrogen fuel. So that's good to know. The next question was about the turret and whether it is pilot controlled. CIG responded and said, currently the gunner seat will control the bottom turret on all versions, and the co-pilot will control the top turret on the MR and the tractor beam on the CL. So that's how the seats are going to play into the different variants. They then drilled down into the intended roles of each of the 3 main crew members, and CIG responded with saying, regarding the bridge seats, one is dedicated pilot seat and the others are co-pilot and gunner specifically. In terms of roles, we don't want to lock players to set roles within ships. So whilst naturally one player would be flying the ship, the other 2 are free to assist in navigation, defense via turrets, offense via missile operator mode, EMP, quantum dampening, or deal with engineering issues that arise. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more questions around the roles in coming months leading up to 4.0, because this is a massive part of the game that I'm actually very curious about myself, because I've always been wondering, like, everyone that's playing Star Citizen is imagining themselves, well, I'm speaking for myself here, but I'm imagining most people, imagining themselves as the pilot, like the main character in their own story in this space universe. And I struggle to sell the game up to my friends when I'm telling them that they're going to be a gunner or they're going to be a co-pilot, because, I mean, I guess you could just rotate out the roles, but I imagine you would want each role to be as fun and engaging as, you know, being a pilot, for example. But we'll see. But I do have faith in CIG. I'm sure they'll find a way to make it very interesting. I'm very excited for engineering gameplay, for example. I can imagine that you can have somebody in your crew that could be very efficient at that, and he always wants to do it, or he's very good at it, so he feels like it's his job. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. I'm sure a lot of people would actually like to, you know what it's going to be like if you invite your friends onto your ship and like what exactly they're going to be doing. So I'm very excited to hear what CIG has planned for us in the coming months. The next question personally rubbed me up the wrong way. And I know this is my singular opinion, but I've seen some other people share a similar opinion as well. I actually launched a thread on this on Spectrum asking what other people thought about it. The question is, can the Zeus Mk 2 MR be equipped with red, blue, and white warning lights like the Drake Cutlass Blue to appear as a law enforcement vehicle? CIG responded with, this isn't currently planned, but we'll see as we go through production. Now, what I'm hoping they do with this, and this is what was mainly suggested in the thread that I posted on Spectrum, was that they add the lights, if they add them at all, as a flare item. So it would work the same as the little bobbleheads in your spaceship. So you can have them on your ship or take them off. I'm personally not a fan of having the police lights on my futuristic spaceship if I'm not going to use them. And I'm definitely not going to use them because I don't really understand the point of a bounty hunter letting everyone know that he's coming. I mean, the ship's also like very stealthy, so I don't really get the whole blue lights thing, but that's fine. I know some people freak out about it, so that's cool. To each their own. But I think the suggestion to make it a flare item is a great one because then it's the best of both worlds for everyone. Everyone gets their 2 cents. As far as them selling the ship without the lights and now retrofitting it, if they're going to add it to the default ship, I can imagine that there would be a couple people that are upset about this because obviously if they wanted the blue, red and yellow lights or red, blue and white lights, they would have added it to the original design when they marketed the ship, but they didn't. So many people bought the ship not expecting those lights to be there, like me. And now hearing after the fact that it might be a police type law enforcement vehicle, it loses some of the sex appeal to me personally. And then the last question, and this one was very interesting, I'm so glad they included it, was about the external docking collar. I was actually wondering about this myself because in the schematics of the ship on the website, you can see in the interior that there is very clearly a airlock just behind the pilot's seats. And I was wondering, like, where does this airlock lead to? Because on the outside, there's no clear entrance for this airlock. And CIG did explain a little bit about it. They said, there is indeed an airlock with our small metric docking collar, with a ground ladder access in the room to the right, providing a second and third entrance to the ship respectively. Now, they didn't specifically address how exactly you would get into the ship, but what I'm hoping and what most people have suggested, and I think this is right, is that the panels on the side of the ship will actually flip up and then you'd be able to walk in, through that opening. I don't know why they wouldn't come out and just say that because they haven't actually said it explicitly anywhere on the website. Because in my opinion, that's one of the coolest designs of the ship is if the panels would flip up. So yeah, I guess we'll see about that. I just really hope it's not a scenario of we forgot about adding it on the exterior, so the outside of the ship, has to change to accommodate the new airlock, because obviously that's going to ruin the beautiful lines of the ship. And I don't know about you guys, but I buy ships because they look pretty, not because they are functionally better or have an extra 20 SCU of cargo capacity or any of that. I don't actually care about any of that stuff. I care about the pretty arrangement of pixels on my screen because that's what I'm going to be looking at most of the time. So when I bought the Zeus, I bought it because it was one of the sickest looking ships basically out in Star Citizen at the moment. That and the Galaxy, which is the 2 ships that I own. So I'm really hoping that they don't change the outside design of the ship. But obviously it is in active development. They're going to try to get it out before the end of the year. So I'm sure we'll get more updates on it soon, relatively soon. And yeah, I really hope they don't change the outside. So yeah, that's my coverage of the Q&A on the Zeus Mk 2. Please feel free to head down to the comments if there's something that I missed or there's something that you guys want to bring up. I'm always interested in hearing the comments and reading them and responding to them. So that's very cool. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers for now.